This is KJBC in Midland. It's 25 minutes past 4 o'clock. And now from the main studios of KJBC, it's music live by the Texas Plainsmen.
Hey, a big old smiling Texas Plainsman. Howdy to you out there, friends. Thank you for that kind of applause, Scott McGuire. That's her. Donnie Walser over there playing that Gibson and doing the yodeling.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, Donnie. And I'm old Jim O'Neill over here on that old Gibson fiddle. All the Texas Plainsmen. Here we come with the first tune.
My name is Don Walser. They call me the Pavarotti of the Plains.
What did Garth Brooks and Jimmie Rodgers have in common? Depending on who you ask, nothing. Widely accredited as the father of country music, Jimmie Rodgers paved the way for such stars as Ernest Tubb, Jimmy Wakely, Lefty Frizzell, Hank Thompson, Spade Cooley, and the Wilburn Brothers. But the songs coming from country music today are a far cry from the wails of Elton Britt, Bob Wills, or even the strains of Willie Nelson. But some musicians, like Don Walser, remember growing up when country music was real and when the Grand Ole Opry was bigger than life. All across the United States, musicians like Don Walser toil anonymously to keep country music grounded in the traditions they remember.
He plays the kind of music that I like, the old country western, western swing, honky-tonk music, and people seem to like it.
Don Walser is the most perfect living example of the style of music that I was most affected by as a little child, the music that's probably closest to my heart.
Some things you can't fake. You know, a lot of people try to be country, and obviously Don Walser is about as country as they get.
He's got that kind of power in his voice that just sends shivers up your spine when he hits those notes.
He, I believe, is the guy that makes yodeling cool.
I first met Don when he started playing like the emo shows with the Butthole Surfers. I don't know, I just really kind of fell in love with his music. Don Walser is very true to his art, you know, very true to the music that he sings and plays.
Well, I grew up in the sleepy little town of Lamesa, Texas. There wasn't much to do there. What we did in Lamesa is just get in trouble, you know. But when I got on up around 14, I decided I wanted a tattoo. I figured I could get all kinds of girls if I had a tattoo. There wasn't no place in Lamesa to get a tattoo. So I went by my brother-in-law's house, and he told me, you get some black India, and then you get you some medium needles. You draw it on there. Death before dishonor. That's the kind of stuff we did.
Smell the fresh plowed ground.
The last 5 years I've been to 2 Jubilees. Chicago Hope used 2 or 3 of my songs on that program. ABC Primetime came down and spent 4 days with me and the band, and so just everything in the world seems happening. Been in one movie, High Low Country. Y'all can rent it. It's out on the rental basis now, and I got to sing a song. What's this guy's name that rates movies? Liebert? Hebert, what? Well, anyway, he said one of the highlights of the movie was the song that I sung in that movie. But the biggest thing I'm thankful for is I got a band that can play that stuff, boy. I knew how to go do this before I got through started. I always do it, blubber.
He'd bring his guitar with him to school. This was like 4th grade. And all the kids, of course, wanting any kind of break they could get, say, let Donald Ray sing, let him sing. And the teacher would say, calm down, Donald Ray, don't bring that guitar back. But if all of you be quiet, I'll let him sing at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, he'd sing Old Shep. He'd cry, I'd cry, the teacher'd cry, everybody'd cry. That was repeated probably monthly when we were in the 4th grade.
How did it go? Oh, when I was a lad and Old Shep was a pup, over hills and meadows we'd roam. Just a boy and his dog, we was both full of fun. We grew up together that way.
I lived real close to him, and I could remember on a hot summer night with no television, the windows would be open, I could hear him down in that tree. He'd get up in that tree and practice yodeling. He finally got it on one day and got to doing it. That's pretty good at it after that.
I can see him right now, that old leg is swinging, him a picking and a playing and a yodeling.
Yeah.
That's some good days to remember, you know it?
Yeah, you could hear him for 3 blocks.
I didn't know they were that good at that time, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
We used to have a big old fruitless mulberry tree out in the front yard, and I always get up in it in the springtime amongst the leaves, and I thought if I could sing, I had to sing, you know, but I was bashful. The people I didn't know was listening. They was out in the front yard sitting in their porch and listening to me sing. That's always what I wanted to be. Don't remember ever not wanting to be.
From about what age did you realize?
As long as I can remember, back 4 or 5 years old, you know. But I do want to say one more thing before you leave is my mama passed away when I was about 12, and your mothers and your daddies helped raise me. And I'm proud of that. That's why I love Lamesa so much. And get out of here before I cry.
I want to welcome you all back to Lamesa, Texas, to the 8th Golden Tornado Jubilee. We're sure glad to have you here. We've got a very special guest to entertain us this evening for the extravaganza. He's a friend of many, so please give me a warm welcome for Don Walser and the Pure Texas Band.
To me, true country music is 3-chord country, something that anybody with a guitar can sit down and play.
Hank Williams, back when he was making records, he used to tell the musicians in his band, play it vanilla. You know, I mean, he wanted it plain, he wanted it simple, and he wanted that for a reason. Obviously, he was right, because we still sing his songs and we still remember him as a great artist.
Bob Wells a little more sophisticated, but he never called his Western swing either. He called it a fiddle band.
We play basically 3 different kinds of music. We play honky-tonk music in the spirit of Hank Williams and Ernest Tubb and Floyd Tillman. We play Western swing, Bob Wills, Milton Brown, Spade Cooley. And we do cowboy music, Elton Britt and Sons of the Pioneers kinds of songs. Usually you'll find bands and they'll do songs from the repertoire of one of those groups, but Don does all 3 and we mix it up and people just really dig it. It just really is gratifying to me to get to play this old music in the spirit of the old music, not trying to recreate something from the old past, but just sort of continuing on.
such a superb yodeler. When he yodels, it's all over. I mean, he's a great singer, but when he yodels, it's like that's something that nobody can do as good as him. He's the best yodeler I've ever heard.
Now, what's the difference between a regular yodel and a double yodel?
Yodelee, oh, yodelee, oh, yodelee. That's just regular yodel. That's a double yodel.
Standing next to me is a little boy we played with when we was 10 years old, huh? Right? And I was about 13 or 14 or 15 or something like that, you know. Billy Richter on his guitar, and me and him been playing with him long back the river.
Me and Don Walser started together in 1949. I was 10 years old and he was 15.
We played our first paying job back into the cafe just for a man and his girlfriend. Something like $5 or $10 a piece. We thought we was rich. We was back then too. Well, the first band was called Panhandle Playboys. And then when I moved to Midland, I worked with a group called the Texas Plainsmen. Later on, we moved to Abilene, and I played in a band there, and I organized my own band in Sweetwater called Country Edition, I think it was what we called ourselves back then.
And we used to go out and play clubs, and somebody come up and request a song, and we say, hey, Donnie, do so-and-so. They say, I never heard it. They said, well, it's out on the jukebox. So he'd go out there and put a nickel in the jukebox, play it back, go up on the stage and sing it. And so he's got a memory.
I learned a lot of songs just on the radio. I could hear them one or two times and learn them back then.
But that's the thing with Don. He could play for hours upon end because he's got such a catalogue of great songs, like in that computer of his at the back here, and in the memory box, and songs that nobody else has either bothered to remember or even heard in the first place. And when he sings them, they think, wow, beautiful, beautiful music. And why should the Lord just keep that great music from a lot of people? Share it. And I think that's what Don is very, very good at, sharing his music with as many people as possible. And I love him for it.
Country music is different than a lot of things, I think, because it's more of a family thing. You know, it's for everybody from 8 to 80.
Country music's making statements about its era and about the people.
The roots of what's being played today is in rock and roll. It's not in country.
They've tried to make it overly commercially acceptable.
Because somewhere back there in the 50s, you know, country music, Western swing sort of got derailed, was completely usurped by rock and roll and subordinated to it.
There's not much feeling to the music anymore like we used to get in the studio with the live musicians and the live artists and record the record. Now they make records.
There's some good stuff on the radio. I'm not going to put down the whole Nashville scene. There really are some real talented people.
What made it different is common everyday people loved it.
Basically songs about working class people, generally people who are from rural backgrounds or people who have moved to the city from the country and are having changes in their life as a result from that. That's what a lot of these songs are about.
What gets lost there when you try and make it for everybody is just that you forget that this is about heartache and beer drinking and honky-tonks.
A lot of songs about, of course, cheating, drinking, all the great topics. And murder, one of my favorite song topics. There's a whole subgenre of great murder songs and prison songs.
The country's not as rural as it used to be. A lot of kids can't identify with a tractor or a rural lifestyle, a country lifestyle, a factory job, all the things that people used to write about. And apparently nobody cheats or drinks or smokes anymore. So.
Lamesa Cotton Oil Mill was where my daddy worked. For about 9 months out of the year, he worked 7 days a week, 12 hours every night, 6 till 6 in the morning. And all I had was radio to listen to. I lost my mother when I was 12. When she was on her deathbed and knew she was going to die, she called all of us in there one at a time. She asked me not to smoke or drink or chase wild women. And for the most part, I've kept my promise to her. I don't drink and don't smoke, and Pat won't let me chase wild women.
My name is Pat Walser. I'm the wife of the great Pavarotti of the Plains.
Pat and I have been married for 48 years. We'll be in the 16th of December. Ha ha. You thought I'd forget, didn't you? Pat and I met right on the front porch of my house. My daddy married Pat's mother. And I got back out of Fort Benning, Georgia. She was standing on the front porch. And I said, whoo, look at there.
Well, he was in uniform. Pretty good looking old boy. Had a hat box full of love letters from girls. I just decided they wasn't going to get him, that I was.
She was engaged to marry some little half-pint guy, you know.
I was engaged when I came to La Mesa, and he came out there to see me. And Don more or less run him off.
Took her out and showed her the town and give her a big smooch. And we called it sparking back then. They call it necking nowadays.
We didn't go together but 3 months before we married.
Her mother didn't approve of Pat and I getting married.
She told me I couldn't marry my brother because they were married, but we told them we wasn't blood kin.
She came around at the last minute.
Mother said, you go down there and sign that marriage license. I won't be here when you get back. We got back, she wasn't there. She'd gone to buy a dress for the wedding.
Preacher told us to facts of life and how you got to get along and all that stuff, and started to walk out of there, and my fly was undone. My wife said, Donnie, you're fly.
You have to be friends to be husband and wife. And we started out as friends. And to both of us, marriage is a commitment, and it's one that you don't take lightly.
I got his breakfast burrito.
Donnie, all you're thinking about yourself.
Yeah, I know it.
Well, I don't want no breakfast burrito.
We fuss. Every couple fusses.
If I did, I'd go to McDonald's.
Hey, that's a good idea.
You're really getting on my nerves this morning.
All right.
We yell, but we get it out of our system and everything's okay.
I'm the second oldest, and my parents adopted me and brought me back with them to Texas when I was 26 hours old. I think that right there alone has given me a special bond with my parents because they never deceived me in any way. It was always very open. You were adopted. We couldn't have children. We wanted them, and we, found you, and you're ours. So I never doubted their love for me. And I hope, and I don't think they've ever doubted my love for them.
Pat and I got married and we started having kids, and, George Jones and all those guys that made it in country music had to starve a couple of years before they could make it, and I didn't mind starving, but couldn't let my family starve.
He ended up joining the National Guard, and then after I got out of high school, I joined the National Guard too. I think he lied about his age or never would have gotten in the Guard.
How old you got to be? And I said, I think you got to be 16. So we went in and told the guy we were 16. He said, now, you boys come back again, you're going to have to be 17. So we went out and walked around a little bit and come back in. And he said, how old are you boys? We said, 17. He said, that's just old enough. So he signed us up. And that's how I got in the Guard. Stayed with them until 94. Different capacities. I started out as a mechanic and wound up as an internal auditor. When I was working back there, I knew I wanted to be in country music, but I wanted to raise my family and not have them to have to be without me. So I put it on hold, did weekend stuff,
know, Don Walser is my favorite yodeling country and western cowboy. He's keeping alive the flame of country music and western swing music here in Texas.
But he's a flatlander like myself out of La Mesa, Texas, and he knows what that flatland music's all about, the West Texas push.
I lived in Austin, have been living there for a long time, and I've been hearing his name for a while, because he's one of the old-timers also.
First time I heard him was on a little show. They had a radio show when I first came here called Stars Over Austin, and it was an all-star show, and they had a great band. Jimmie Day was on steel, and just all these amazing musicians.
There was a gentleman there who had just started playing in Austin. His name was Don Walser.
I didn't know what to expect. He was this great big guy, and he gets up there and just slammed me against the back wall. I've never heard anything like it.
Don came out and he sang either I'm casting my lasso up to the sky, or he sang I'm a Rolling Stone from Texas, which is a song he wrote.
The purity of his voice, and yet he still was a Texan, you know, he still had that Texas timbre on his voice, and he was playing the old songs, and he was putting new life into them.
He's preserving classical and traditional country music here in Austin, Texas, where it's kind of hard to find sometimes, you know what I mean.
This kind of music's been around here in Texas for a long time, and it will be forever.
You know, Austin here is steeped in a lot of traditions. When I first came around here, there were some places that aren't here anymore. Some that are, like the Broken Spoke and all.
If you grew up in Austin, you probably wound up going to the Broken Spoke a few times.
I used to play with Don Walser at the Broken Spoke back when the Spoke was cool. Don Walser was the coolest thing in the Broken Spoke, period. And I'm proud to say I know Don Walser, and anybody that doesn't like him can kiss my ass. There you go.
Hi, I'm James White from the Broken Spoke. I've been booking bands for 35 years. I couldn't be prouder that any night that Don Walser plays right here at the Broken Spoke, the real Texas top hand is Don Walser. So y'all come on out and see him when you can.
Now here's the country music. I remember way back when you tuned in the Grand Ole Opry. Here's the best it was back then. Well, I'd listen to the fiddles, banjos, and guitars. And what a thrill it was to hear them famous country stars. There was a hayride down in Shreveport, wasn't all in Tennessee. And a barn dance in Chicago, and the Big D Jamboree. There was Western Swing from Tulsa, and the Hillbilly Hip Parade. And on the jukeboxes and the honky-tonks, that's all they ever played. So here's the country music, just for me and you. All right, the Pure Texas Band.
Don Walser, again, he's the best Western swing player. That's right?
Singer.
Konnichiwa, minasan.
I'm just going to take 4 of these. I mean, unless you want me to take all of them. I got 8 water.
I always wanted to be on the Grand Ole Opry, as far back as I can remember. Because I thought if you ever got on the Grand Ole Opry, that was the ultimate. It's kind of like being an astronaut and get to go stand on the moon. I think that's all right. I just need to rest and standing up.
Okay, let me get my breath and we'll head up. Go get breakfast tonight.
It's not like I thought the golden years would be. I'm glad we have it. It keeps us going. If we didn't have it, we'd probably sit home and deteriorate.
It'll take us an hour to get out of town. Yeah. We're getting out of here about 5 minutes early.
Oh, 8 minutes, dear.
We don't fly. They try to put both of us in a seat for 3 people, normal people, and that doesn't work. And the hassle in the airport, so many of them don't have those little electric carts, and we just can't get around otherwise unless somebody puts you in a wheelchair and pushes you. And I'm not ready for a wheelchair. So we prefer to drive. We start out early and take our time, and I do the driving. In the later years, my old knees is wore out, and I don't get around as good as I could, but I get to sing country music. That's the plus in my life. I was 12 years old when I busted my first bronco in La Mesa, Texas, don't you know?
Texas, you ever heard that song, Texarkana Baby? Texarkana baby, do I love her, Lord, and Lord. I'm a Texas toppin' and a bet. Pat and I came to Nashville in 1959 just to see the Grand Ole Opry when it was in the Ryman Auditorium. It was wonderful. And I'm the #1 man when it comes to matters of an old cowhand. I can ride 'em, I can break 'em, and on Friday I'll be making my way into town to dance to some old cowboy band. Far back as I can remember, we always listened to WSM and the Grand Ole Opry, especially after Mama died and Daddy worked nights. Well, the radio was my companion, you know. But just to be on the Grand Ole Opry once is something to me. Now, though, I'm going to get to be a little small part of it. It makes it even better. And run my finger over them old rusty strings. They're beginning to sound funny. Yes, sir, I'm glad to be here tonight. And buy another set.
Don, I'd like to get you and your wife seated over on one of the corners.
It means a lot to my fans to know that I'm going to get to be on the Grand Ole Opry and know that I've wanted to be so many years.
One of the very nice things about hosting a segment of the Grand Ole Opry is every now and then you get to introduce someone who has a deep and abiding love in traditional country music who's not a younger act. I mean, let's face it, the gentleman I'm about to introduce to you had a 39-year career in the Texas National Guard, independent of country music. And tonight is his premiere and debut appearance on a program that he grew up listening to, the Grand Ole Opry. From Texas, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Don Walser. Don. Nice to have you again.
Well, me playing the Opry means a lot to my friends and my family. We've got somewhere around 50 people from all over the United States that flew in here.
The Opry's special, very special indeed, but it's only made special by inviting special people along. And Don's going to add a new piece of history to the great wealth of history that the Opry's had all these years.
I've got a little girl waiting. Her name is Patricia Jane.
Now, Donnie's dream comes true. I feel real blessed that something he's wanted all his life is actually happening.
I know how much it means to him, and I don't even know if I can't describe it, because I just know how excited he is and that this is something he's always thought about doing and dreaming about doing. And I don't know, I'm just really excited. I don't even know how to put it into words. It's just unbelievable, because he's just my dad. He's just my dad.
Make me feel like an old man, these old knees do. Yeah, I gotta get them fixed one of these days. This thing's sure been nice to me. I can go about where I want to. It'll go about 20 miles on a charge. Been limited as to where I can go, but now with this I can go nearly anywhere. So I can see the countryside. Diabetes makes it kind of tough on the old guy. It makes it tough on to lose weight with all the medication you have to take. I don't usually eat much as probably you do. Don't have a thyroid, and with my knees like they are, it's hard to exercise. You know, if I knew I was going to live this long, I'd take better care of myself. I'm 65 years old. I can't walk from here to that door without being tired. you know what I'm saying, but I can sing a little bit, and I love people, so maybe they love me back. I don't know.
Well, not only is he a great talent, he's a great person. He's a good friend of mine. Known him in Austin for several years now. Played at my daughter's wedding about 3 years ago, and it's just super. I went on to Jovita's the other night. He plays there once a week, and he said, guess what, Rosetta? The two dreams I have. One was to play the Canes, and one was to play Grand Ole Opry. So we played the Canes at my dad's birthday bash 2 years ago. Now I get to play Grand Ole Opry. I said, hey, I'm going to go to Nashville and see you. So I did.
First time I met you was in 1951. Played on the same show with you.
JIMMIE, Christmas?
You were going to spend the night with me, but somebody had a bigger house, and I just had to let two in the place.
Don, I hear that you're going to do a lot more of these shows around, and I want to wish you the best of success.
Well, bless your heart. Thank you, Billy.
It's really nice to see you again.
You betcha.
And thanks for coming to Grand Ole Opry and come back to see us. Okay.
We'll do it. If they let me, I'll be back every time they ask me to.
All right, I love you guys.
Well, I love you too.
You take care of yourself.
And I've admired your music for years.
Well, thank you very much, Don.
You bet.
Take care.
Beautiful guitar.
Thank you.
Well, I guess I better get out of there before they close this place completely down.
The Opry is a bastion of old-time music, and it's very lucky that they were able to get Don Walser to perform, because traditional older artists just don't exist hardly anymore.
I used to play in a group called Al Dressen and the Super Swing Review that played the first Saturday of every month at the Broken Spoke, and Don Walser used to come out and sit in with us before he had a band here in town, and just from the very first note, you could tell he was the real deal.
We thought we played a really long set. We thought we were working hard, and so after we were done, we packed up all our gear, and we decided to walk back to the hotel, which was across 6th Street over on Congress, and it must have been 3 in the morning, and we heard music coming out of this bar, and we walked in, and man, we thought we were working really hard, and we walk in there, and man, Don Walser's been playing there since 7 o'clock, and it's 3 in the morning, and he ain't ready to quit, man. And that's when I knew what a working musician was.
He's got a lot of talent. There's a reason he's successful.
You're watching Fox 7 News at 10.
There are many talented musicians in Austin, but Don Walser is an original.
Fox 7's Julie Moody spent some time this week getting to know him.
Sure glad to see you, and if you have any requests, if it's 40 years old, we might know it. We don't do nothing but strictly top 40 country music, but it's 40 years old.
Austin's own Don Walser is in a good mood these days. That's because on Saturday, he's playing at the Grand Ole Opry for the 2nd time, a big deal by all standards.
Chime bells are ringing, oh, mockingbird singing, yo, sleep my little lover, yo, out on a summer's eve, yo, out on the mountain so happy and free, there lives a maid that is waiting for me, out on the lake with the tide, and hear those chime bells ring. Chime bells are ringing, oh, mockingbird singing, sleep my little lover, out on a summer's eve.
okay? Welcome to Nashville.
Well, a lot of young people come to the Grand Ole Opry and they say this is a highlight of their career, getting to appear on this stage early in their career. Don Walser from down in Austin, Texas is not 19 years old, but on the Grand Ole Opry television portion for the first time tonight. I believe you're more excited than any of these kids that ever come here.
That's right, Bill. You've been one of my heroes, and so is most of the old Grand Ole Opry bunch. You've been my heroes for many, many years, and I had two things I wanted to do in life. I wanted to be on the Grand Ole Opry and play in Kane's Ballroom in Tulsa, and I've got to do both now.
Okay, now why Kane's Ballroom?
That's where Bob Wells was asked so many years. You know?
I knew that. I just wanted to make sure that all of our viewers knew that. Well, now you stick pretty much to the traditional sounds of country music. Your latest CD is called...
Here's to Country
Here's
Music.
to Country. I want to say my kind of country music. Here's to Country Music, and of course the other one up there on the screen down at the Skyview Drive-In. What is your kind of country music?
Well, I think anything that's traditional is what I like to do.
Till you're 110 years old, right?
That's right, and then I fall off the stage dead.
Oh, goodness. Well, you got a ways to go, Don. It's great to have you here. You got your whole group with you tonight?
No, I've left them at home this time, but
you gonna yodel for us?
Sure.
All right. It's great to have you on the Grand Ole Opry.
Great to be here
Glad
with you,
you
Bill.
can live part of your dream here.
God bless you, and God bless the Grand Ole Opry.
I'm with you, pal. Thank you. Don Walser, he'll be on the Opry Live here at the bottom of the hour. Well,
it's Saturday night in Nashville, Tennessee, and time for another big half hour of Grand Ole Opry Live here on TNN. Hi, everybody. I'm Keith Wilbur. We had a fantastic show for you tonight. A couple of special guests. Don Walser is making his, at least, television Opry debut. He's been on the Opry before. I think you're going to enjoy him. And
Riders in the Sky here to speak about our old buddy Don Walser. We've only gotten to work together with Don once in Houston, but boy, we have heard his music and admired it for a number of years, and it's just kind of a dream come true for a guy to spend a long career like his, and suddenly in the flower of his late middle age, become an international superstar. Gives hope to geezers everywhere, and we're dang proud of it.
Yeah, he come riding out of the same picture show that we come riding out of.
I think so.
And what a yodel. Oh, man. So high. Can you believe how high that guy yodels? Woo! You know, it's just not logical for a man to sing that high, I don't think.
I think you're right, Woody, but then again, if this was a logical world, you know, men would ride side to side.
And now to entertain you this Saturday night, here's Porter Wagoner.
To introduce this great man to you here, and I know you folks will enjoy him. He's making a dream come true tonight. We're delighted to have you here. His name is Don Walser. Please make him welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
At my
finished his refrain, said I gotta catch me another train and be in Kerrville by morning. Oh, to my surprise, when I opened up my eyes, I found I was all alone. It's a long way from Meridian, Mississippi, to that little Texas town. My ride with Jimmie was no railroad vision, that must still be hanging around. But we sang about his rough and rowdy ways to baby's final ride. Johnny go feeling blue, and the good Lord number one. Oh, let's go
Musical career. Great.
I want to tell you one quick story about yourself.
All right.
The old song you used to sing about the Bill Anderson wrote about the cold hard facts of
Cold hard
life.
facts of life, yes.
My fiddle player plays that, sings it, and he says, but every time he does it, he says that was written by whimpering Bill Anderson before he was whispering Bill.
All right. Give Don a great hand, ladies and gentlemen.
Dream come true, you know, from when I was a little kid listening to the Opry on the radio, and it's just kind of like being at home, you know. I told somebody the other day that the roots of country music is kind of like an old tree, and if you don't protect that tree and let the roots get done with, why, you're going to lose the whole tree. And that's the way it is with country music. There's a few leaves left on the tree, but it could be, if they could keep this a few more years, they could just do away with country music when the older people get gone. I'm lonesome, but coming out of the car last night, I lost my balance and fell. I didn't realize it's downhill, so I did a swan dive right out in the middle of the parking lot.
What's wrong with your arm?
Can you get in front of me and help me now?
You're going
I
down
don't
all
care if
right.
the pants go off or not now.
You're going down all right.
This is also, basically we just use that center point of the...
You gave me a pain shot. You got me so groggy I can't hardly see.
So I guess he put an end to tonight, huh?
No. She said, no, you're not going to go to no place or sing any songs tonight. As soon as grogginess leaves, we'll go to what we set out to do today.
What can I do to lay you down?
Oh, just, you know, I can see the steeple. Oh,
God.
Hello? Yeah, they just now got him back in bed. Well, he's got a hairline fracture up in his chest, and there's a little bone broke in his elbow. The doctor told him to stay down, and he said as soon as this shot wears off, it's full speed ahead. Okay, well, as far as I know, everything's on the word go. Thank you. Bye-bye. Cliff and Marianne from Houston.
Oh, yeah. What did they say about the performance last night?
Oh, they enjoyed it.
Did they?
Yeah, they enjoyed it.
No, we pretty much stay in the hotel rooms. It's very touchy. No, if our knees wasn't like they were, we could go out and enjoy things a whole lot more. But we compensate. We, just like while we're up here, people are coming to us and seeing us, and they realize that we can't do the things that they can do. Bring it down over your shoulder.
Well, girls, boys, we're gonna go pick a little.
When we lived in El Paso, he had an emergency appendectomy done. He was walking around with pain for a few days, went to the doctors, they sent him to the emergency room. And he had the surgery done, got out. He had his little bandages on there, but he went to his gig, played. In between breaks, they would go and change the bandages, and back on stage he would go.
So I'm gonna do it one way or the other. I'm still groggy and got to sober up a little. That medication is really tough. But my elbow don't hurt as bad, and I'll be all right.
That's just kind of the way he is. He's got a job, he's signed a contract. He's there for the people. It's not about him, it's about giving to the people what they enjoy the most. Well, we'll all be standing there with our fingers crossed, but he'll be there. So, and doing the best he can.
I don't have no keys. Jeff, where's the keys?
It was the best ovation in the house last night. By far.
Because, you know, they had somebody over there on the side to get people to clap. They didn't have to do that for Don. Yeah.
We had a pretty rodeo queen, and the whole thing started with a big parade. No, the party can't start till the playboys in
Walser, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Don Walser. The Pavarotti of the Plains, the filmmaker of the deserts, the love child from Patsy Montana and Slim Whitman.
I got an uncle down in South Texas, can get in his pickup early in the morning, drive all day long, still be on the property. He said, yeah, I used to have a pickup run like that. Here's one called the Polka Dot Blues. It's for all you gamblers in the house tonight. It's an old Jimmie Rogers tune from way back.
Here we are in Nashville in front of the Sutler. I just had to come down here tonight to get a little fix of that beautiful voice, Don Walser. I guess the first time I heard him was at Threadgill's, and I was just blown away. He actually brought tears to my eyes when he sang Danny Boy, and nobody had done that to me for a long time. A real voice just tugged at me. It's just the real pure music, you know. There's nothing phony about it. You know what the cool thing about this music is? When young people hear it, they usually fall in love with it because it's so real, you know? And I've had a lot of younger people come to my shows and that will say things like, I've always hated country music, but I like what you do. Because if you keep it real, it's something that will reach them.
The little boy told me one time, said, Walter said, as good as you are, you ought to be in Nashville, starving to death with the rest of them singers. Thank goodness I didn't come.
Don is certainly carrying the banner for that kind of music, and it's I mean, it could very well die out if we don't recruit a younger crowd, younger generation of people.
You got any kind of organization that doesn't have any youth in it, you got an organization that's dying.
And it'd really be a shame that when I get to be an old man, if I'm, 80 or 90 years old, I want to go out and hear somebody playing this music live. I don't want to have to go watch a video or put on a CD or whatever the hell they're going to have back when I'm 80 years old to listen to.
For guys like Don, believe it or not, they're really what still keeps country music going. If it wasn't for those guys that are doing it for the art, these other new young hat acts wouldn't have a chance.
I met Cowboy Ramsey down in Love Mesa, Texas, in 1949. Never once did I cross him or ever try to boss him. Cowboy was a friend of mine. Cowboy was a friend of mine.
A Western singer and native of the Texas Panhandle, who has kept the signature sound of the Texas Plains a part of American musical life. His singing, his truly amazing yodeling abilities, I added the truly myself. His trademark compositions such as Rolling Stone of Texas and the devotion exhibited by fans of all generations have earned him the nickname the Pavarotti of the Plains. For his contributions to excellence in the art of Western singing, the National Endowment for the Arts honors Don Walser. I'd like Representative Lloyd Doggett from Austin, Texas, to come forward.
You think all the yodelings in Switzerland? You haven't been to Thread Hills in North Austin, because Don's there and he's a big part of why we claim to be the live music capital of the world. And we like what he represents, and I'm so pleased that you're honoring him with this award because it's well deserved. Look forward to hearing you here and there, Don. Thank you. Congratulations.
An Austin music legend was a long way from home receiving an award in Washington, D.C. Representative Lloyd Doggett presented Don Walser with the nation's highest honor in folk and traditional art. He now joins the ranks of winners like B.B. King.
What's the most thrilling thing that I see is whenever families come out to hear our music, and you look out there and you see the kids enjoying it, and then you see Grandma with a tear running down her cheek. She's hearing an old song she hadn't heard in 40 years, and I think that music needs to live.
The award was presented to Walser at the National Endowment for the Arts National Heritage Fellows Award Ceremony.
I'm delighted to welcome you to a part of what is for us at the Endowment our favorite week of the year, because it's the week in which we have an opportunity to bring our National Heritage Fellows here to Washington. We try our very best to show them how much all of us here in Washington, here with the government, here with the Arts Endowment, appreciate their contributions to American society through the preservation of their particular art form. A number of you are familiar with my background and know that I spent some years, 25 years, as the director of the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville. It's a wonderful institution, and that gave me the opportunity to be familiar with the work of our next Heritage Fellow. He's a wonderful singer, a fine songwriter. He was reared in La Mesa, Texas, up in the panhandle of Texas. He's a singer's singer. He's influenced a couple of generations of performers in country music and in cowboy music. And his specialty, the specialty for which we're honoring him tonight, is the yodel. He's really preserved that tradition, that great yodeling tradition. He is considered to be the master. When people talk about yodeling, they talk about Don Walser. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you a fine National Heritage Fellow, a gentleman who has earned the nickname the Pavarotti of the Plains. Please welcome Mr. Don Walser. Don, congratulations on your Heritage Fellowship. I was just wondering, when you were growing up in La Mesa, you got involved in Western music and in yodeling, and I know you're going to yodel for us in the next song. Well, is it hard? Is it physically tough to yodel?
No, I didn't know. Anybody could learn to yodel. You could learn to yodel.
I could learn? No. Yeah. I could not learn to yodel.
And you say, oh, oh. Now say, E, E, E. Put a lay in the middle. Ole, ole. Put a D on the front. At the end of it. D-ole, D-ole. Put a T on the end. D-ole, D-ole, D. Now put I on the front. I-D-ole, I bet you they could do it. Let's hear you say it. You ready? 1, 2, 3. I-D-ole. See there? Wonderful.
Now, I think people are coming around and they sort of miss something like that. They miss that music that has a really good beat that you can dance to, but it still has a melody, it still has words that make sense.
That's great. Well, the yodel's alive and well, and I'm pleased to turn the stage back to Mr. Don Walser.
49 years ago, I married a little pug-nosed gal out in West Texas, Patricia Jane, and I wrote a song for her, and it's called Rolling Stone from Texas.
The one common theme through all the greats in Texas music is they do it for free. They do it for $1 million. It doesn't make any difference how much money they make. It's whether or not they love what they're doing and whether or not the crowd loves it. And Don is that way. You know, he could have stayed being an auditor. And it's that love of music that unites him with all the other greats.
No, I didn't expect my career to move like it did when I retired. I just assumed that I'd play music and enjoy it. You're too country. I've heard somebody say, you're too country for country music. Well, that's bull. Ain't anybody too country for playing good country music.
I guess it's his friendliness with the people and how he enjoys people being around him and liking him. And he's a good husband, which is pretty hard to find nowadays.
Don't compromise on what you believe in and what you want out of life, because eventually you'll get it. And I think Dad is a very good example of that, because I remember Dad came to Nashville and brought one of the songs that he wrote, and they told him that there was an artist that was interested in it, but he needed to change the words. And they needed to change it because it was just too country, or whatever their phrasing was at that time. And Dad's like, well, I'm not going to change it because that's me and that's who I am. When you see me 20 years from now, I'll be doing the same thing. Well, it's probably longer than 20 years, and he's doing the same thing, and he's reaching his goal and his dream. And that right there alone is just, I can't think of any better example to have from parents.
He's one of a kind. I don't know how to describe it. There's not another like him.
wouldn't change a thing if I go back and live it over.